that one is even good. What about
Yeah.
when they are told that, well, with all this education, you end up in the kitchen? That's is that not even worse? All right, that leads me to the next question. You
Yeah.
talked about how we were led, and I helped you
Yes.
to add misled.
Misled.
You know, and our value system changed. Was there also a shift in our belief system and what, because you talked about money and then Western civilization, all those
Yeah.
indoctrination and kind of strategic assimilation of ours into theirs and superimposing theirs on ours? Was there
Absolutely.
also a shift in our belief system? And what would you say has been the effect or implications of that for us?
Um, yes. Our belief system, yes, there was a massive change in that. We we're highly spiritual people in Africa, and everywhere we go, we tend to be anchored down by our spirituality. But when religion was introduced, it changed a lot of things for us. It created more divide amongst us. Before, we had enough challenge by tribe. Now that religion was introduced, I still know that in West Africa, in Nigeria specifically, when you meet someone and you want to probably form some have some business relationship or any other kind of relationship, their faith is quite important to you. You want to
Hmm,
know their race, their tribe. You
hmm,
want to know their their faith.
hmm,
Then you decide, okay, well, this person will be. Whereas in
hmm,
other parts of the world, you just want to know more about that person. What have they done in the past? And you then start forming your own decision based on their credibility as
hmm.
opposed to their belief system. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Well, I mean, I've met a lot of people, and nobody's ever asked me what my faith is or what my belief is
Hmm.
in the East. But in the West, I tend to get that question a lot, and then that is part of our introduction. That was okay. Well, are you a Christian or a Muslim? And
Hmm.
are you this? Are you that? And that is
Landlord even ask you sometimes, and
oh
during
yeah, definitely.
private
Oh,
private job owners.
absolutely. Because some actually say they have a fellowship and this on this date, and
Or
that's
or marriage, parents, when you want to marry, they say which tribe
exactly
is he from, which religion does he practice?
absolutely. They don't ask about this person's character. They don't ask about this person's um personality, what they bring, what they offer, and what they are about. They are more concerned about their faith and their belief, whether they align or not in that space. So that has further divided us. And now we've seen clearly that even with this faith, we've just it's just another system that's been given to us to exploit each other further. We have a way of exploiting each other in the past, whether it's business or by authority given by the council that we had before. Now we have faith, and people are now in a dire situation where they're struggling, and they've been made to believe that this faith is going to rescue them from wherever situation they're in. And government have always looked the other way when it comes to the pastor. Even the government, I mean, government always visit all these pastors anyway. So if a president of a country is visiting a pastor, how could you then say anything wrong? Who could possibly question this pastor if the president himself is bowing down to the pastor and being prayed for by the pastor? So it puts a lot of people in a difficult predicament. You have a lot of universities in Nigeria where the congregation cannot afford to actually go to the university. The university owned by churches, because and these are the people that contributed to build the university, but they cannot afford to send their kids to the university because it's too expensive. And we continue to do things like that to each other. We continue to, and we expect. We've been made to believe. We've been brainwashed to the point where we believe something good will come and the miracle will happen. But we are the miracle. We are the miracle that are meant to change all these things. So a lot of these things I see growing up in Nigeria, and I still see today. I mean, it gets worse. I thought it was worse when I was growing up, but now it gets worse when we see things on social media about different atrocities that the churches are just committing in the name of miracles. I don't understand. I don't understand how we can continue. And at some point, religion will implode if we don't find a way. I'm glad the current president in Nigeria is trying his best by um, putting measures in place that would help with the taxation law. And I think he's saying nobody should preach in the market. Things like that. That will curb at
That's a
least.
governor. That was a governor.
Oh, it was a governor, not
Governor
the.
Soludo.
So that's the one in Igbo land. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, okay. So that's not across the entire nation. It's just a state. Ah, okay. It's a good start. It's a good start, and that's the beginning. Because we just get all this thing rammed down our throats, and people that actually want to speak up, they've been told, because this is a system that has been divided to enslave us. They've been told it's blasphemy to actually speak against or question things that is not clear or doesn't make sense to them. They said it's blasphemy. So people just keep quiet and continue to follow.
Wow. Is it our people's fault? Let me roll down, because people are overlooking something. When you see, it's not all about Western education. There's also native intelligence.
Yeah.
And intelligence is intelligence. It just depends on the need and the application and the fitness for purpose. Many people don't realize that we have been divided up front and we have been configured never to function.
Of course.
Now, they do not realize that the way our country is, the complexity of our country on its own, being called a country, it's an antithesis and also an anti-pattern. To call places like Nigeria a country is an anti-pattern. It should never have happened. Let me roll out the countries of Europe. I know you have this information on your fingertips.
Yeah.
That are just like local governments. They are not even up to local governments. They are like streets in Nigeria.
Yeah.
The Vatican City is around 825 people living within the region that is called the Vatican City. 825.
Yeah.
There are some streets that are more than that in Nigeria. San Marino is 34,000 people.
Nice.
Right? San Marino. Liechtenstein, I hope I pronounced that right, 33,987 people. These are not up to 2 streets or 3 streets in Nigeria. Streets, not local government.
I know.
Just one highway.
Yeah.
All right. Even Monaco, 38,682 people. Andorra, 77,142 people. Iceland, just 103 kilometers square, is 361,313 people. Man. That's not more than how many polling booths in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Malta is 502,653 people. Luxembourg is just somewhere around 619,896 people. Montenegro, 622,137. Estonia, somewhere around how many? These are islands anyway.
I know.
So very, very small Baltic country. Now, Alimosho local government alone. Alimosho, one local government in Lagos, and Lagos happens to be one of the smallest states in Nigeria. Alimosho has a population, if I'm not exaggerating, I'm not sure whether like 3 million people.
Wow.
3 million. That local government, even the whole state of Lagos itself, has over 20 million people. And the state of Lagos, with a landmass of 1/20 of a state like Niger State in Nigeria. Niger State is more than 10 times bigger than the size of Lagos. In fact, it is said that Niger State alone, or Borno State alone, is bigger than the whole of the eastern region of Nigeria. And the eastern region is over 30-something million. I'm not accurate about this. Could be up to 40 or more, or 50. I'm not sure, but I know that the Yoruba region is more than 40 million. Now, I want you to pick it up from there because people are looking at our problems at the surface. But these are different people with different religion,
Of
different
course.
belief system, different
Yes.
values and everything. Why won't we be where we are
Where we
at?
are. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. It's a serious issue with us. And for me, I can't see where we would start making that turn for the better. Because if you see that going to come from the top in technology space, approach when you're meant to tackle a problem, you come from the top down, or from the bottom up. It's going to be one or the other. You can't just say I want to tackle a big problem and then start going around not having an approach. You have to look at the top and say, right, somehow the leaders will have to force something down the hierarchy until it gets to the citizen, or they make the citizen to be responsible enough to actually start building something up from
Take
grassroots.
ownership.
Yeah, take ownership, and then the kind of people we elect to be our counselor, that will go back to the old way of doing things, where your bali is your representative that would fight your case um, with the community leader, the baale. Then the baale would fight your case with the olorilu or the oba. Then it goes on and on and on. So it's either we go back to that approach, or we use the approach we've got now, which is the democratic approach of making the people we vote to be accountable for things that we want. Whereas we know we are corrupt, the voters are corrupt, the politicians are corrupt, because they already, I mean, politicians spend a lot of money to be voted
Very
in.
good.
And
Very,
then, so how do you expect anything from someone you've already taken money from before you voted them?
I like where you brought us in here because this talk is not about all those our high sounding um, concepts. It's about the
Hmm.
Omoluabi. Now let's
Yeah,
pivot back because initially when you started in your early, expose, you were talking about how this our colonial masters introduced money,
yeah,
and now they said, I mean, it's misquoted though. They said money is the root of all evil, but the Bible people say it is the love of money. Now you talk about politics and how everything is monetized.
yeah.
Let's relate that to the concept of Omoluabi. How does Omoluabi see money? And then I know the Omoluabi is just a comprehensive value system.
Of
Okay.
course.
We're going to talk about money and how the belief system that entrenches Omoluabi functions and how we can benefit, because we are not here to talk about the problems. We are also
Hmm.
here to redirect.
Of
So
course.
it's like there's one of my programs I call reset button. It's like pressing the reset button. That where are we coming from? Where are we and where are we going? So talking about money, can you take us back to the value of Omoluabi and the
Yeah,
concept of money, the
if
perception of
we
Omoluabi on it,
i- on money, if we look at the concept of Omoluabi relating to money, um,
and greed,
yes.
ostentatiousness,
Mhm.
lifestyle.
So, being a person of integrity means we can actually interact, we can
Mm,
have a deal or have a conversation regarding money. Perhaps I'm taking money from you as an entrepreneur,
mm,
making certain promises, and whatever happens, I stand by those promises.
mm.
I don't
Trust.
I don't elope with your fund. I don't start I don't change, I don't project or profess something I'm not going to be able to achieve, and then once you've given me your money, I then become something else or someone else. I maintain my good conduct. I do not start fiddling with numbers so that I can satisfy you in one way or the other. So the concept of Omoluabi is quite deep. It talks about being respectful. I think that on its own is a very massive subject. These days we don't see that often. We believe, if I'm using Yoruba as an example, is because I'm a Yoruba person, and I look at this and I think about this from that lens. So we value greeting a lot in Yoruba land. And when you see an elderly, the first thing is you greet them. It doesn't matter what culture, it doesn't matter where they come from. As soon as you spotted them to be an elderly person or older person, there's a certain way you greet them. Some of my friend was actually saying, I think it was a few weeks back, we were all sitting down talking, and I wasn't there, but they were business partners. They went to represent our interest in a middle of nowhere in Kenya, and they came across someone that has been an ambassador in Nigeria in the past. So the miner said, "Oh, he will introduce us to the lady." And the moment we walked into her house and we said hello to her, greeted her, she knew. She could pick out of three people that walked in which ones were Nigerians and which ones were not.
Wow.
The one person
Wow.
was not Nigerian and two people were Nigerian, and she was able to pick based on greeting,
Wow.
because there's a certain way we greet. She spent time in Nigeria because she was an ambassador to Nigeria. So she could say, she was able to say, "You're Nigerian, you're Nigerian, you're not, you're Kenyan." So taking us back, that's part of what we're known for. But it shouldn't stop there. Just because we greet so well or we greet respectfully, everything else we do, we should still do respectfully.
Yeah. You talked
And
about, finish your thoughts, sir.
yeah, and that's one thing I see a lot now, that people believe that greeting is everything. You greet, I mean, especially now that people are having children in diaspora, and some may decide to train their children to greet the Nigerian and the Yoruba way or not. But what I'm trying to bring out is it still doesn't
End there.
change much. As long as they understand the concept of greeting, and they understand that, okay, Yoruba land, this is how people are meant to greet. This is how I'm meant to greet. But in the Western world, that doesn't really make an impact. It doesn't
Right.
change. It shouldn't change the respect you have for the elders.
Wherever.
Exactly.
Right.
But one thing we all make mistake of, what we overlook, is when a child knows how to greet very well, we assume the child is very respectful in every other way, whereas it's a complete wrong
Notion.
perception. Yes, yes.
Okay.